All right, before I put these bolts in, I'm going to put some thread locker red. It's for high temp. I think that's probably a good place for it. We got 3 bolts here, 2 in the front, one in the rear. We'll try to get that rear one in first. And it's going to be kind of a pain in the butt. As always, should be 11mm also. So, if I need a swivel or not, I do need the 11mm. This one is the one I was trying to remove that wasn't actually there earlier. So I'm glad the kit gave me new ones. And the position is back here, straight down. It's just in a really odd place. So I don't know if you can see my finger. Straight down from here. Then of course we got one here and one over here. The front are not too bad. It's that back one that's going to be interesting. So it's camera off time, so I can use both hands here. We'll be back. Okay, so what is missing from this picture? When I was putting that third bolt in, I dropped it. And of course, it had to go somewhere I could not even see it or reach it. So I had to pull the turbo, pull the mount again, and I'm still looking. It did not hit the floor, and I thought for sure it went underneath here, but I have prodded with a screwdriver. I felt around behind here, underneath that area, and I just cannot locate it anywhere. My hand was about right here when I dropped it. So, from the sound of it, it didn't drop very far. And it didn't sound like it rolled, but it has gone into the ozone. I've got 2 more. I hate to leave a bolt just rolling around somewhere, but I don't know what else to do. I've spent a fair amount of time trying to locate it. And, it's just not here. So let's see if I can find another one and figure out a way to hold it this time before I repeat what I just did. I'll be back. And just to be clear, this is where the third bolt goes, right here. So when you have the turbo here, you've got to basically go blind behind it with an extension. So it gets interesting. I have a thought I'm going to try here. I picked up wherever I put it, who knows. Bloody hell. Well, at some point in time I had some butyl tape, and what I did with it just now, it's an unknown. Alright, we'll be back. So I've got a bit of butyl tape, and my idea is to basically stuff the end of the socket end of the 11mm deep well that I'm going to be using. This stuff is pretty sticky. Basically chewing gum. I don't care really what it looks like as long as I can hold it there while it's going in. And I think that's going to work. As long as I don't bump it into something, that should work. So I'm going to do that for that third bolt, and hopefully I won't lose another one because I've only got one other extra. Now these are the old originals. Then I've got 2 new, which I'm going to reserve for the front because I can access those easily. And I just found the piece that I had cut earlier. All right, good. Yeah, small things. So we'll be back. All right, it's about the best I can do on the camera. On a tripod, but there's nowhere else to position it while I try to get this bloody thing in for the second time. Like I said, it is a royal pain in the butt. Alright, pry bar. It's the best I can do. I can't see it, but I don't feel any rubber extruding from the outside area, so we're going to have to make an assumption that the O-ring seated. So I got both pins in the right place. Almost. A little bit of a jiggle here. There we go. I think that did it. Alright, so we're back to where we were before. I attempted to put the bolt in. Mount is back in. Turbocharger is sitting on the mount. Let me take a break here, get a drink. Just to let you know, it's Florida, about 85–90% humidity, 95 degrees out. So, yeah, it's a bit hot today. Alright, this time it worked. I used a, was that a 3-inch extension, a 10mm extension socket. Then shoved a bunch of butyl tape in the end to hold the bolt head. Then I fed it in by hand from the right, and I was just barely able to get my fingertips to it on the left and then get it in position. And then I just spun it until I was able to seat it. Then once I got it seated, I switched to a 6-inch extension with a ratchet and a short 10mm socket. And once again, I had to put a little bit of butyl tape on the extension just to hold the socket on there, because the first time I pulled it out, it pulled off the socket, and of course, luckily this time it fell on the floor, rolled off. So I've got it snug but not tight yet until I get the other two on, and then we'll tighten them all up correctly. All right, we got the turbo back in. Obviously the mount's in. Mount has been tightened up. The turbo has been tightened up. Just a note for anyone who may be doing this, that's watching this, on the right hand side, the turbo bolt, I found it was easier to go underneath the wiring harnesses on top of the I don't want to say valve cover, injection cover maybe. Anyway, go underneath the wiring harnesses and you should be able to hit that back right bolt. You might need a swivel because it's off just a tad, and of course tightening up the mount bolts from after you've got the turbo installed, a swivel is very helpful. But you will not be able to access the back left mount bolt. You're going to need to tighten that up beforehand. So I tightened it up before installing the turbo, and of course set all the other bolts, but I left those bolts just a tad loose to give me a little bit of wiggle room if I needed to move that mount a little bit. I'm not going to say it helped, but that's what I also had read that was helpful, and it worked out. So we got the tube installed, new tube with new O-rings front and back. So the next thing to install is going to be the high pressure oil line with new O-ring, which fits down in there, and there's a little hold down bolt that goes there. So we're going to go for that next. And of course we still got the clamps to put on. Maybe I'll do the clamps first, just so I can finish up with the turbo. It's going to be another pain in the butt. I just know it. Particularly if I've got to turn those things around. I think they're in the right position. But yeah, let me work on that first. So here's my question of the day. There's a tab on the pipe. I think they call it the down pipe. I had slightly bent it upwards to help clear the manifold. I'm gonna put it back in place. But my question is, when I put the clamp on, where is the clamp going to go on in relationship to that tab? I went and reviewed some videos online, YouTube. I couldn't find anything. So what I'm going to do is just put the tab so it lines right in this area. So when it closes, I guess it'll be there. There's no other indication of where that tab should be. And I've got the right side already in. I still need to snug it up a little bit more. I also went and checked if there was any indication of or anyone saying anything about how tight they should be. From what I see, tighten them all the way down, bottom of the threads. So I'll go ahead and tighten those up a little bit further as soon as I get this one in. Alright, at this point everything is back in with the exception of the CAC tube. Got both clamps tightened down, got the high pressure oil line in with the new O-ring, new hold down bolt. Got the electrical connected, of course the mount's connected, the turbo's connected to the mount. Everything is good. I gotta put the little computer back on, then put the degas battle back on. Otherwise, I cannot think of anything that I have missed. Nothing else, it's cleaner than it was. Hopefully it doesn't leak. It's a shame to have to put everything else back on before I can test it, but it needs to be done. And yep, I think everything's good. So, like I said, I get the computer on, then the degas bottle, then the CAC tube. I'm still waiting on the one sleeve for the CAC tube, for the hot end, as they call it. But I can use the old one temporarily just to start it and check for leaks. The new one should be here in probably another 4 days. So let me get these other components together.